Hello YouTube, Muramasa here from Muramasa Gaming, and I'm here with a post-April 15th ban list for Mannadiums. So, most of the deck is the same from my last updates. All that's really changed here is that the Baronne has been hit by the current ban list, so we're going to go into the deck profile here. So we are running the two Starfrost, basically bread and butter of this deck. Next we are still running the three Samsaras. He takes the name of Starfrost while he's on the grave or in the field. And he can also shuffle all of your Visas cards back in and gain a slight attack bonus, and he can be counted as both a tuner and a non-tuner. And he's also a 15/21, which is very important for other combos. And for the bread and butter, continuing the bread and butter, we've also got our 3 Meek, 3 Reckheart, and 3 Reamheart. Just to continue the combos, Reamheart can dodge Imperm. Well, so to speak, you can dodge Imperm. You would like normal summon the Reckheart. Somebody would Imperm you. You can pop it with Reamheart, and then you can basically get 2 searches off as long as they don't drop a droll on you. Next off, we do still run the Kashtira package with 3 Fenrir and 1 Scare Cash. Amazing combo, because with Baron now banned, you are going to more or less leave this on the field a little bit more than normally. But if they can't deal with this, then you basically just have like a permanent once per turn disruption. We are still running the 3 Ash and the 3 Droll and Lockbirds, because with Snake Eyes running around, you don't want them adding to hand. You don't want them doing basically half of what they are doing. Now, starting off with the spells, we are still running the 1 Imaginings. This card here is amazing. It's situational, but it is amazing when that situation arises. You're basically only using this for the draw and resetting the hand, because some pieces are better to be searched out instead of you having them in your hand, and it still turns into more or less a +2. And you can also banish this and turn one of your 15/21s into a tuner if you actually need to. We are still running the 2 Abscission. I tried bumping this to 3, but it just... You really only want to search this out, or if you happen to open one, it's amazing, but you don't want to see this too often. But with Baron now banned, you want to see this almost always, either in the opening hand or having to search it out. Because not only do you get to pop a card on your field and you can add Clarium, your field spell, you can also trigger Meek off of this now, since we no longer have a truly consistent way of hitting Meek. Next off, we are running the 2 Scareclaw Arrival. It's a broken ass card. Of everything that got hit, I'm honestly surprised this did not get hit, because it's not a once per turn on the Reborn effect, and the protection effect, we don't utilize it too often because we're not leaving Lightheart on the field for any extended amount of time through our combos and plays. So the protection of Arrival it's just doesn't matter. We're here just for the free Monster Reborn, and it is searchable through Rekhart. Next up, we are running the 3 Calarium, because if you're not running Calarium, you are not playing this game properly. Well, I should say this deck properly. Then we also run the 2 Rakphobias. This card here is amazing in its own right. Not only do we get to search either a Visa Starfrost or a Scareclaw monster, which we only have the Rekhart, it also states that your opponent loses 100 attack and defense for every defense position monsters, and if there's more than 3, well, 3 or more, you can pop a card on the opponent's side of the field. This card's just amazing. And going back to Calarium, this card's also amazing. All of your like monsters gain 100 attack and for every tuner in your grave. So this can actually screw you up when you're trying to summon Meek with a 1521. Meek can bypass that a little bit if you have either Amritara, Samsara, or Starfrost on your field, because they all take the names of Visa Starfrost. So it's still mindful to remember that this does give you an attack gain. Wrapping off the spells, we still run the 1 Called by the Grave. This card puts in so much work when you find it. And Rhoda, because we want to see Reamheart more than anything. Wrapping off the main deck, we are still running the 1 Reframing, because this card here is just absolutely amazing. It's a counter trap. You get more or less an Omni Negate as long as you have a Synchro or Vices, and it's just amazing. On top of that, it also has a graveyard effect. You can banish it, and you can shuffle up to 3 of your Mannadium monsters that's banished or in the grave. But 9 times out of 10, you're just reshuffling Meeks. And lastly, we run the 3 Imperm, because nothing is more annoying than having your entire combo stopped because you got Impermed. And we need every interruption that this deck can possibly get right now. Now, up to the extra deck here, we are running the 2 Light Hearts. This card's amazing. It searches your field spell and starts a lot of combos. Then we run the 1 Cross Sheep, still being... It's still amazing even without having the Baronne to protect it, but it's still good. Still helps us to recur the Meek from the grave with Astrolaud. We run the 1 copy of SP Little Knight. Just simple, generic interruptions, and you still get a lot of value out of this. Not as much since Baronne's been banned, but we still get a lot of value out of SP. Then we still run the Appaloosa. Of all cards banned, I'm surprised this did not either get banned or limited. We only run the 1, so limited wouldn't phase us too bad. Most people only run Appo at 1. Next up, we run the 2 copies of Vicious Astrolaud. By banishing a Visa Starfrost and a 1521 from your grave, you can fusion him, and you can pop a card. He gains attack equal to half of that monster's attack or defense, whichever's higher. On top of that, this card cannot be destroyed by battle. A lot of people do not understand how important just can't be destroyed by battle is. I've won many games in my locals where my opponent just did not read Astrolabe. They thought he was just an on-summon pop. Next up, we run the 1 copy of Trisuta, because recurring meeks is amazing, and if you have a way to pop meek, you can turn this into so many things. You can turn this into Dissipator, you can turn this into Excel. It's just amazing. His Trisuta's second effect to turn all of your face-up monsters into level 2 tuners. It's good, but we're not running Prime Heart in this build, so that effect doesn't really matter all that much. Like, if you can get value out of it, go for it, but in my current build, I cannot get value out of it. Next up, for the level 8s, we run Amritara. This is like our only consistent way to pop meek, but it's not consistent enough because 9 times out of 10, if we go into Amritara first, we're only linking it off into a light heart. So we can't make value out of his pop ability, but we can still search Calarium, we can still search Obsidian. We have a lot of value out of this. We can even search the Reframing if we have to. Next up, we are running the Stardust Excel. Recurs a meek from your graveyard, so you can go Dissipator, you can go Changying. You can basically go into any of our synchros with just this. Next up, we are running the Changying. Card's just absolutely busted. Gains 100 attack for every banished card, and if a card's banished, you can target a card on the opponent's field and their graveyard and banish it. It's just stupid. We are still running the Dissipator because we want to recur our cards for when we go into Astrolabe. We need, and on top of that, he is a disruption. We can pop a monster by shuffling a card back from our banished zone into our deck, and we can also negate their effect if we shuffle one of the opponent's monsters or cards back from their banished zone. Which we can set this up with SP Little Knight on turn 1 if we get like Ash, Droll, whatever. But that takes a little bit more setup and luck, basically, but possibility is possibility. We do run the 1 copy of Chaos Angel. This card and the next one I'm about to show is just a very stupid combo. It will basically force your opponent to Kaiju, Lava Golem, or even Spear Emoji, because there's almost nothing that your opponent can do about this. Chaos Angel, if you use light and dark, you can basically make it to where your synchro monsters are unaffected by the abilities of your opponent's monsters, and if you use a dark, all monsters you control can't be destroyed by battle. So Chaos Angel is a really, really fun monster. Lastly, for our level 10s, we are running the Ice Jade Jameer. This does require you to sync it with a meek, but because it does require a water tuner. It has the quick effect of that you can activate it freely once per turn, and monsters you control can't be destroyed or banished by card effects. And if you activate this in response, you can also banish all cards with that same name from your opponent's field and graveyard, so just keep that in mind. It can be reborn as well, but it's gonna almost never come up, but just keep in mind that it can bring himself back. And both of the effects of Gamir are once per turn. And lastly, for the extra deck, we are still running the Crimson Dragon. Card's just too good to get rid of. Place this back to the extra deck and target another level 10, we'll just say Jameer, and you can basically pop out, cheat out a Dissipator if you have to. This is if you can't, like if you know for a fact you can only go with a level 12, you can still get your Dissipator out, but if you can't go in with the but if you can't make the level 10 through Stardust, then Crimson is your only way out to go. That's it for the main and extra. So now to go over the side deck. I believe it has changed just slightly since the last video. We're still running the 3 DD Crow. My locals is very reliant on tier limit still. Few Fire Kings, but this is mostly just tier. Just purely tier limit. Then we are running the Dimensional Barrier because we want to lock our opponent out of the extra deck as much as possible. It does still allow the opponent to link summon, but you can only link summon so many times before you just can't do anything. And then for our Ghost Second cards, we do run the 3 evenly because battle phase is broken, especially when you know you can't kill the opponent, so you're going to go more for disruption than for lethal damage. So evenly is just a fun card. And to wrap up our Ghost Second cards, we are running the 2 Lightning Storms because you never know when you actually need to do something. Then we run the 1 copy of Harpies, just basic back row removal, can't go wrong with it. And lastly, for the side deck, we are running the 3 Crossouts because we die to draw. We need every way to get rid of draw at any given point. If you get drawed, you die. Plain and simple. There are very, very few exceptions to where you get drawed and you can still make a really strong inboard. But as I've probably said about 50,000 times this video, Baron's gone, so draw literally kills us now. Like, there's almost no coming back from a draw. You stop it, you kill it, you negate it. Plain and simple. So if you don't see cross out or the called by, you hope that you've set up an Omni negate before, or any type of monster negate before you have anything. But this is Muramasa signing out.